Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to some more Total War Pharaohs. We are going to be diving back in with the game as I was lucky enough to go ahead and get my hands on it over the past couple weeks to play 3 battles. This is the first battle. I think I'm also going to show off the siege battle in a separate video. I also have my complete thoughts on all 3 battles as well in another video, so again I'll link that down below in the description if you want more of a concise kind of look at the overarching feel of the game itself, whereas in these videos I thought it would just be fun to dive in and just kind of talk through the battles as we're playing them, talk about each one individually, because there are some really cool parts of these battles as well as some other parts I didn't like, and they're kind of individual to every single part of it. Also, let me know as well if you guys want to see more of these type of videos on the channels. I definitely want to cover Pharaohs in some regard, whether it's just kind of playing it on launch so you guys get a good idea whether or not the game is worth picking up, or if it's just to go ahead and do a couple campaign playthroughs, you know, again, if the game is actually really good. For the most part, we only got to see battle gameplay in our little preview event with the YouTubers. We didn't get to see campaign stuff, and I think for a lot of people that's going to be quite telling on whether or not the game is worth it. That's going to be the meat of the game, I think, more so. However, we did get some cool features in the battle side of things, which we'll be going through in today's video. Also, as always, the atmosphere and the actual battles themselves look great. You've got the pyramids in the background as well. And just overall, I think, yeah, we've done a good job of getting the atmosphere. A lot of the battle maps here look great, even though we're used to like Warhammer battle maps with all these extravagant places outside the battle maps to look in and kind of dwarf over. They've done a good job with the mountain ranges, obviously the pyramids, and the other structures that the Egyptians are so well known for. So as you can see, we are moving up. Something I actually did notice as well as we come out of the forest is that they've removed, I actually can't remember if it was in Troy or not. I think it was in Troy, because again, if you guys haven't seen my previous video, this is basically like an improved version of Total War Troy without heroes and some new battle mechanics and stuff. So just keep that in mind when you're watching this. You know, the game does feel like Troy, just kind of more like a middle ground, I guess. But yeah, I think, I'm not sure if they've it was in Troy or not. I'm sure you guys can let me know. But they've actually removed the auto formation, something that wasn't in at least this version I was playing. Again, this is early access to this build. The game is still 4 months out, so some things can change. That probably won't be a thing. But yeah, if you select all your units and you drag them out, it will no longer put like the archers behind or the infantry in a line, much like it did in Total War 3 Kingdoms, which was a little bit weird. I felt like that was a fairly decent feature, and maybe there is a toggle somewhere that I just didn't see. But I think that's honestly, you know, definitely something that they should add into the games, or at least make it, as I said, a toggle ability, because I think, you know, that did allow you to quite quickly form up a formation, and then you could go into a bit more detail. So in this battle, this is the easiest of the 3 battles we're watching. You can see I'm basically moving up looking to engage. I have a decent setup of my army for the most part. I have 2 units of light infantry, which you can see on the flanks. I have a group of archers who are outranged by the enemy slingers, but we've managed to close the distance now and start firing in shots. A lot of the arrows as well do kind of look a bit silly, bouncing off the enemy. Some of them do penetrate though, and there are animations. It's great to see that type of stuff actually getting implemented back into the game. You know, there are some soldiers who get hit by an arrow and they're like, oh god, I've been hit by an arrow. That's the stuff in the old games that used to just kind of make things so realistic. And now you also get to see I'm hovering over the new formation ability. So this is something brand new to the game. These are formations that will actually dramatically, and oh my god, look at me pausing. I'm such an old man now in Total War games. But they go so fast, okay? I can't keep up with the micro of you young kids nowadays. But yeah, there's a new formation ability which will allow you to actually directly affect how your units actually perform. Previously, it was just like stat modifiers and a bit of a formation thing, but now you can set certain units to fall back, and they'll fight a retreating, a fighting retreat. They'll kind of slowly move back, draw the enemy in closer, which will obviously make their flanks a little bit more vulnerable and stuff. You can also do more of an aggressive push and break into the enemy formation. Say you're fighting like a heavily fortified hoplite style unit, you're going to want to be really aggressive there, try and break up that formation and get stuck in. I think this is like a really cool feature that I'm excited to see actually get pushed forward into future Total Wars. Whether we do get like another Rome later on, like this would be a perfect for like a Rome 3 in the near future, and even if it just kind of makes it into like other, in quote-unquote quotation mark, saga games. I think that's a cool feature nonetheless. Right now as well, you can see the battle lines have now clashed. Something to keep in mind as well, that we no longer have just hero units in the game, which is awesome. We now have general bodyguards, and I'm interested to see how they go about. Hopefully, now that they are taking the time to bring back general bodyguards, hopefully there's going to be mechanics, I guess, in the campaign map, which allows you to actually affect that bodyguard. I believe in Thrones of Britannia, we actually have the ability to modify our bodyguard a little bit more depending on the stats. That was a really cool feature, and hopefully it returns, whether we'll be able to like change the actual makeup of the unit or whatever. That would be really cool to see. But yeah, right now I think we are just equipped with like a heavy infantry bodyguard, which I hope isn't the case for every unit. You can also start to see as well the sandstorm coming in. So this is another feature that they've added into into let's say Total War Troy, goddamn, into Pharaohs, and basically the weather can now become very dynamic. There's stuff like sandstorms, there's droughts that will actually dry up areas of the map, affecting the terrain. There's kind of rain and storms that can fire off as well, and that's all going to actually affect the overall terrain, giving certain bonuses depending on where you're fighting. For example, rain can turn certain areas of the map into mud, and that will bog down heavy infantry, reduce defensive stats, and other benefits like that. And again, you can kind of think the opposite with a drought. The sandstorm reduces visibility, reducing range and missile damage, and other stuff along them lines, which is a cool feature. You know, I'm not sure how impactful it's gonna be. I feel like it's one of those features which you're like, when it happens, like, it looks cool, like, look at that, it looks cool, but I'm not sure like I'm gonna be like, oh wow, this is completely revolutionized Total War. But again, I don't know, you know, it's cool, I don't want to complain when it is a benefit. You can see this unit as well. This is one of my units which has been on the aggressive stance, so it's actually been pushing into the enemy line, and you kind of see that conclave push off. We also get the return of some of the locked or match combat as well. Units will still kind of hit into random air and kind of do more about Warhammer style combat, but there are still some match combat. Again, I think they've kind of gone back to the 3K level of match combat, which is fine. It's good to see it being there at least. I would love to see more of it again, but still not awful. The overall, the combat does feel very much like Troy. I think there are still some floaty units. It doesn't feel as bad as Troy. I remember when Troy first launched, there was like no collision in the game. I don't understand if they just didn't have time to implement it or what, but yeah, there was no collision. Units would just run through each other, and units still feel floaty. I'm going to be completely honest. In this game, units still feel a bit weird. You can see that unit I was just clicking on as well is like forming its formation, but it's still fighting a unit. So again, there's still some jank going on. I don't think the battles have really found their fine-tune point. Now you can see units do just kind of, yeah, get very loose and messy. But again, a lot of the units that do feel very floaty are light infantry, so I guess you could make the argument. But I think the AI is still in a bit of, yeah, they haven't really done much to improve the AI, I would say, when it does come to combats and formations and stuff. Also, the AI still routes in random directions through your battle lines, will come back and be able to hit your archer line and stuff. Like, this unit's going to come back and probably start attacking my archers, which again frustrates me to no end. I hate kind of this fast retreat, come back style of gameplay we've had in more recent years. It just really frustrates me. I basically have to dedicate units to chase down enemy units to stop them from coming back, which I just personally, I really don't like the way it plays out, especially in sieges. It still suffers from the same issues in sieges where units will route into the city, come back from routing, and then just go and capture a capture point. It has happened to me in the siege battle that you guys will see probably in a video or two time. Like, I'm fighting a massive siege battle. We both have like 30 units, and I'm defeating units on the walls and at the gates, and they're routing into the city. They come back from routing because, you know, why not? Why wouldn't you? And they just go and capture the victory points, and I'm like, well, great. Now I have to run like 10 minutes to stop that, even though I've done nothing tactically wrong. And yeah, you can see that unit has now come back and is about to hit me in the flank. Yeah, I just really don't enjoy that style of mechanic. Like, I don't mind them running like in that direction if they're not just running through my units. Like, why would you be running towards my units to route? You know, I can understand, yeah, it's chaotic, they're just running in any direction, but yeah, a bit silly nonetheless. But yeah, the battle is winding down now. I've managed to surround them. You can see some of my heavy infantry as well. Definitely like the look of the units as well. I think the diversity is there pretty good in a few of the other battles as well. I think we're fighting the Mycenaeans, and yeah, there's good diversity overall. Do I think there's enough diversity for a £50 game? A fully fledged Total War is what they're classing, because they're charging £50 for it. It's not called a saga. I don't know, but still cool nonetheless. We'll have to see. And yeah, you can see the sandstorm right there raging on, and it's a nice little effect for sure. The battle lines look great, and the other weather also looks really good as well. So yeah, that was the first battle. I'm going to probably upload maybe at least one of the other ones. Let me know again by dropping a like and a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.